data journalism is a term that means different things to different people. To me, I also it would be my dream world if all journalists could use data at least a little bit or be aware of data and what it can do. Because just like documents, just like people, data it's another source to use for your stories, and it's so pervasive now. It's available everywhere, at every level of government agency, and really need to be able to interpret it. So I'm going to give you a broad overview here and also some ways to learn if you want to learn this stuff, but really hands-on, actually doing it and playing with data is the only way to actually learn this kind of stuff. So I know I asked this earlier, how many of you have dabbled in data or like work with data in your jobs? A few of you? What tools do you guys use?
QPublic, like the
Excel, spreadsheets?
and define stuff, like the access website, define
Yeah,
documents and stuff.
yeah, online data.
ProPublica.
ProPublica, man, they have such great data resources. Love them. They have geniuses who work there. I mean, the smartest minds in journalism, and they build amazing tools for the rest of us to use. Love them. Any others out there that we haven't mentioned? All right, well, we're gonna get an overview of just what data is and how we can use it in our stories and some examples. And then I want to talk to you guys about how to learn this stuff too, if you want to really get involved and become a data journalist. So this is the super old school term, computer assisted reporting. We still use this at IRE. We're old school sometimes, but almost all reporting is computer assisted these days. So you'll hear it also called data journalism or computational journalism, but it's actually been around for a really long time. These are some super old examples. This is in the 1848, the New York Tribune. I mean, this is data. Tables are data, right? And this was mileage reimbursements for Congress. So this is like watchdogging congressional data in 1848. It happened way back then. Numbers have always been important to journalism. This is where we really trace the roots of what was known as precision journalism, or really, journalists using social science methods in order to uncover information that wasn't knowable before. So in 1967, the race riots in Detroit, there was a reporter there known, and his name is Phil Myers. Anybody heard of Phil Myers? We have an award every year named after him for data journalists. So he wrote the precision journalism about his methods here, and that's kind of the roots of data journalism. But what he did was he used social science studies to try and uncover what the rioters were thinking and what the community at large was also thinking and what their motivations were. Like, he actually did a study in like 3 weeks, like a scientific, modeled after an academic study in like 3 weeks. Knocking on doors, talking to people scientifically about a study, and really changed the way that the community thought about the rioters and the non-rioters and really the whole event. So it was groundbreaking. It changed everything, really. So we still have an award today named after Phil Myers. IRE is, we have like a branch that deals just with data journalism. I guess that's a branch called NICAR, National Institute for Computer Assisted Reporting. Super old school, but it has been around since 1989. It was the Missouri Institute then, and now it's the National Institute. And we had our first data conference in Raleigh in 1996. So we've been doing this for quite a while. There are tales from that first conference where people had to bring their own internet. Like, there was a class on like, what is the internet? And they had to bring their own network. There's also a story that our very first hands-on spreadsheet class, someone saw us, I wasn't there, but there was a sort, and a reporter cried about just how beautiful and amazing it was that you could sort a spreadsheet. Things were so different back then, think about it, right? But how far we have come to be able to use these tools. There are so many free tools that I'm going to give to you that you can use. And all of that has changed so dramatically over the last 25, 30 years. It's just, it's crazy to think about. We just celebrated this year our 25th data conference. So the process when you're doing this reporting is, it's just reporting, right? I think there's sometimes a misconception about data that I'm gonna get it and like find out the story, you know, and it's not a magical thing like that. It helps point you in the right direction, it helps you find characters, good examples, or bad examples for your story. It helps you give a big contextual overview, but it's not the story, right? There's all of this reporting that has to be done. You have to understand your data, analyze it. You have to bring in human sources. You have to ask questions about it. You have to verify it. It's a part of the reporting process. It's not, data journalism is not the whole process. It is another source you can bring into your story. So we have interviews, documents, observations, sources. When we bring in the data, it's also not something that just fits neatly into like one piece of your process. These things all really kind of inform each other. You can use it at different parts of your process. I think this is the reason we still use the word car, is because we can make ridiculous puns with it. Our staff really loves to make puns. But your car is still fueled by traditional reporting. There's no getting around that. Data is not going to solve your problems in that way. You still have to do all the shoe leather reporting. And in many cases even more, because you have to verify a lot of the information. So why do we go through this? Why do we put ourselves through a lot of the time-consuming process that is data journalism? You're uncovering information that in a lot of cases no one else does, right? Which is a great definition of investigative journalism itself, right? You're shining a light on a problem or an issue, something that no one else would know otherwise. It adds an additional layer of credibility to your stories. It gives you that authority to say, we analyzed this and this is what we found, that no one else was looking at. Helps you test government procedures, because so often what we use is government publicly available data, and you get to see, like, did they lower the crime rate like they promised, or, you know, what are they saying about the budget? Is that true? And in some cases, they even, in a lot of cases I would say, the agencies collect all this data and then never use it. They're not even looking at it. They're not even asking these questions about, is this working to change what we are wanting to change, or are we really following all the procedures? A lot of times journalists or advocates are the only ones who look at it too. Interactivity and visualizing it is a big thing. I'm going to demo a tool for you guys. It's a totally free, open tool to be able to visualize information really quickly. You can make maps, charts, graphics, all interactive, embed it in your website. And it also helps you visualize it, so you can kind of see the story, see changes over time, or compare things. But importantly, also, it lets your audience do that, right? So if you're talking about test scores for my education reporters, you can put up all of the test scores and let people find their own school, their own neighborhood, and check it out and bring the story closer to home. And I mean, I would argue all of this is just quality journalism, right? It's just good reporting to be able to use this stuff. Tools of the trade. How do you start the car? You guys are not a pun. You guys don't like puns? Yes. Or you just don't like my puns? All right. So we like to call spreadsheets the gateway drug to data journalism. And what you learn in about 3 to 4 hours worth of spreadsheet training can change your whole reporting process. It can take you really, really far, actually. You can learn how to sort, to find bigger things or smaller things. You can learn how to filter, to narrow in on things that are interesting. And you can learn how to group together data to find patterns. all in 3 to 4 hours of training. And spreadsheets these days, Excel can hold about 1 million rows of data. It gets kind of slow when you get up that high, but it can hold a lot. Google Sheets it doesn't have really a row limit, more of like, it also just gets really slow when it gets big. It's a lot of data, guys, for doing local reporting and state level reporting. It'll take you really, really far. You don't have to become a computer programmer or anything like that. You can do a lot with just spreadsheets. And I'm a huge advocate for everyone in your newsroom going through spreadsheet training. I'm going to show you guys some training resources, but I talked about my bosses sent me to IRE Data Bootcamp, and I came back and I did lunch and learns with the whole newsroom over a period of about a month. We learned spreadsheets. And even the people who, they're not going to become experts or they're not going to become data journalists, they were aware of data. And sometimes that's all it takes for them to be like, oh my gosh, look, I brought this back, I found this on my beat, help me with it. So just having everyone in your newsroom being aware of it, having maybe a couple people specialize in it is a good strategy to be able to just do more data journalism, because all the beat reporters, everybody's the eyes and ears out there, right? So I highly, highly recommend training your whole newsroom in spreadsheets if you can. And again, I'll show you ways that you can do this. We have grant-funded training programs, and we have fellowships, and we have a lot that can help you with this. So the tools I mentioned for spreadsheets, Microsoft Excel and Google Sheets. I have several pages of tools here, and I highlighted the ones I recommend to help you out with it. So I recommend both of these. How many of you guys have Microsoft Office and you have access to Excel? Wow, that's awesome. I left the newsroom in 2013, and we were still using Excel 2003. Our Excel was like 10 years old. It was awful. It's great to see so many of you have access to it. It's really the gold standard spreadsheet software, but Google Sheets free, collaborative. You can build visualizations off of it. You can do some things like scrape data off the web in Google Sheets. That is far better than Excel, just because it's an online program. So both of them are really good. All right, data visualization. This is where so many people I know are interested in taking data, making it visually accessible and interactive for their audience. And this is a map I made with a group one time of pot stores in Denver. So news you can use if you live in Denver. And I'm going to show you the tool that I made that in. I'll do an overview here really quickly, but for visualizing data through maps, especially, Leaflet and Carto are free tools. Leaflet's kind of a programming thing. Tableau is what I'm going to show you. Quantum GIS and ArcGIS are, you can do spatial analysis, like draw a 2-mile radius around this power plant and tell me, how many people live within that radius. You can do things like that. It's super powerful. And Quantum GIS is the free version of that type of software. And all of these tools that I feel like I'm kind of throwing at you, we have like hours worth of training at our conferences about these. So I would say, like, if you have a project and you don't know what tool to use, call me and we'll talk about it. And only don't feel like you have to learn every tool I'm showing you, I guess is what I'm saying. Pick the tools that work for a project that you want to do. And that's a way to motivate yourself and to actually learn something. So spatial analysis, mapping, really powerful tools. Let me show you guys Tableau because I'm a huge, huge fan of it. This is Tableau Public. It's at public.tableau.com. And you can do a free download of this tool here. I'm going to sign into my account to show you what it can do. This tool is It's free, and you can import data into it from spreadsheets or text files, and you can make something like this. This is a map of fairly close to here, Orlando, Florida. These are all bear reports. So like people who report there's a bear in their garbage, or attacked their dog, or whatever it is. And you can make this, this probably took me 15 or 20 minutes to make this, and it color codes things, it makes a key for you, it makes it interactive, and then it spits out an embed code right here that you can put into your website to make it interactive. And you can, let me close out of that. You can hover over it. Oh, there was a dead bear there, for example, in 2014. Some of the, I'm going to go to the gallery here actually to show you what other people make that's like a million years, light years ahead of mine. But look at some of these visualizations that people make with this completely free tool. Now some of this I wouldn't necessarily do for a news audience, disclaimer. I advocate for keeping it very simple. But this tool can do a lot. Now with the free version, you are required to put it on their website, and you can hide your stuff, but you have an account page like mine, and you're part of the community and people can find you. If you want to keep it private for any reason, you can get the full version of Tableau. That is a $70 a month tool, or with your IRE membership, for those of you who are IRE members, you can get it for free, which is amazing. They're great partners of ours, and they really support journalists and open information and that kind of thing. So if you're interested in that, I'll show you how to do that. But that free version does, like visually does all of the same things that the main version does, the paid version. You can just hold more data, really. So that's visualization, and those are some very, that's a very limited view of the tools. And Tableau can do a lot, but I would say Data Wrapper, oh, put this in there, I meant to put it in there. But Data Wrapper is a more simplified, it's for a simple chart or something that you just want to do really quick, Data Wrapper is a great option as well. It's also like a freemium type of site. There are new data visualization tools all the time. This changes a lot, but Tableau and Data Wrapper are two of my favorites. Tableau for more complicated, Data Wrapper for easier. Any other visualization type of questions? Now, that's how far spreadsheets can take you. If you have larger and larger data sets, like over a few 100,000 or a million rows, or you have data sets where there's different sheets that talk to each other, like you have a code in one and you have to look it up in another place, that's where you need to learn database managers and SQL, structured query language. This is what we do in our boot camps. We do about a day and a half on Excel, and then the rest of it is on SQL. It's not scary, it's super fun, it's my favorite. It is a way to actually interact with your data and ask it questions. It's awesome. So there's my favorite tool for that, DB Browser for SQLite. There's also statistical software. And at the very top of this is programming. And I remember when I started data journalism, I was like, my very first data conference I went to, I was like, I've got to learn programming. Everybody's programming. And that's not true at all. Like, I don't have to learn that. You can do so much in your reporting with just spreadsheets. It took me about 10 years of doing data work to get to the point where I was like, okay, now I need to learn programming. So when you're doing things like automating work, you have a task you do over and over and over, but you really want highly, highly customizable visualizations. That's when you need to get into that. But don't put pressure on yourself to try to learn everything.
Can you give an example of interacting with data and asking it a question?
Yeah, I can. So, do you want to see some SQL in action? Is that what you're asking? I can do that. So, a way, well, what we're talking about here is SQL is queries. So you actually can select, you can say select pieces from this data or select rows from this data that answer or that fit this very specific criteria. So show me everything from this database. I'll show you guys. This is DB Browser. This is the program we use to teach SQL. And this is my database. These are all dams across the country, for example. And the way this would work is you write a query that says select everything from, the asterisk means everything. Select everything from dams where, if I can remember my columns, year completed. Where the year completed, so the year the dam was built, is before 1974. So old dams is what this is going to show me. And you run it, and it returns this list of all of those dams. It's a simple question, but the awesome thing about SQL is that you can just keep adding on to that. So it gives you really powerful, you're basically searching your data for interesting things, and you're asking it a question, show me this. I like to think of SQL as interviewing your data, kind of like you're interviewing a person. Show me all of this stuff, except the data usually answers you, and you don't have to wait for it to call back or anything like that. So that is an example of SQL, and the reasons you would want to learn SQL are super large databases that don't fit in a spreadsheet. You want to use filters where you can do fuzzy matching and things like that, so wildcards, and you can use many filters, and then you have relational tables that you need to pull from multiple tables. That's why you would want to learn SQL. So if you run into any of that, please call me. We'll talk SQL. And it'll be amazing. Let's go ahead, and since we're talking about all that stuff, I want to show you guys the resources on our site and ways you can learn this stuff. Hey look, it's call for entries for the Phil Meyer Award that I was talking about. This is our website, IRE.org, and I know there's a lot going on it, but if you want to learn any of this stuff, go to events and training. All the sections are across the top there. And we have boot camps here. That our next one is going to be in January, and we have multiple fellowships for this kind of thing that you can apply for if you are many different criteria. Some of it is for rural reporters in smaller areas. Some of it is for journalists of color. Some of it's for women. Some of it's for broadcasters. We have a multitude of fellowships to boot camps and to our conferences that can help you get this training for free. And the way to find those is go to the events and training page. And down here on the left-hand side, it's so small to see for you guys, I'm sorry about that. Fellowships and scholarships. You can also just Google, use your Google advanced search, fellowships and scholarships, site, IRE.org. And here's all of our fellowships. There's a lot. And you guys know Carter?
Yes.
Yeah, Carter is one of our fellowship winners for the broadcast fellowship to come to. You get to come to our IRE boot camp, our data journalism conference, and you get several other awesome things. So I would say apply to all of these that you are eligible for. Come in here and check them out. And if if you can, try to convince your boss to send you, even if you don't get these. Because it is life-changing. We also have, is it fairly easy to get here from New Orleans? I would think with, you guys, airport in Atlanta is like easy to get anywhere. In March is our next data journalism conference, which is, it's in New Orleans, and it's going to be a good time. Everybody's really excited about New Orleans, and it's 4 days, 3.5 days. We have 9 computer labs going all day to learn basically anything you want to learn.
Would those fellowships be on facilities as well?
Some of them are, yes. It depends on the fellowship, and whoever donated the money to set it up has it set up for different things, but we do have student fellowships, yes. Yes, you just gotta go in and see which ones you're eligible for.
I've tried to kind of like dabble in data reporting and everything, but because I cover a specific county, I found that there aren't a whole lot of data sets. Like, it's not quite big enough. If you're using state level or national, it seems like you have much larger data sets to work with. Are there any data sets specifically like on a county level or a local level where you think that it's going to be useful? Because I feel like
Yes.
we're working with much smaller